Welcome back to Birch's BBQ. My name is Michael Birch, and I'm going to show you how to trim the perfect brisket. We have our brisket. We have our USDA Prime brisket. We picked this up from our local Sam's. We're going to be trimming a full packer brisket today. What is a full packer brisket? All that means is we have both our muscles here. We have our flat and our point, and they're still connected. So there's multiple ways to trim this brisket. You can leave it as is, throw some seasoning on it, get it on the smoker. You can also do what could be called a backyard trim, right? So we just clean this up a little bit. We'll take this fat off, shape that up a little bit, take a little bit of fat off the back. Good to go on the smoker. Out of all the briskets I've done, I used to not want to trim much off, but as I've done more, I've become to like trimming more of it off. We're going to do a little bit more of an aggressive trim. That just means we're going to be taking off more of this flat. This is a thick flat, so we're going to be keeping most of that. But you can see here, we have our thickness, and then it comes down and tapers into a smaller flat. So we will be taking this part off just to make sure it's all thick. We want to keep it aerodynamic. So decal fat's coming off. All this extra fat we see right here is coming off. We'll shape up this point. You can see how that's shaped up. Then we'll flip it over. And we have our mohawk right here that will peel up just like that. Coming down here. And coming nice and even. May help that lay flat. Then we have a big chunk of fat right here up top. So we'll be taking that off. Just keeping it shape, keeping it aerodynamic. I like to start over here. I will be taking off some of this fat right here that's on top. You don't have to, but it's pretty thick on here. And I'm gonna leave the silver skin. So I'm gonna flip this around, come in right underneath here. Keep this cut nice and even. It's all fat. So set that to the side. Get underneath here, there's a natural seam that we can go across, and we'll stay with that while rounding off this corner a little bit. Another piece that's all fat right there. You can keep that fat and turn it into tallow, use it for cooking, put it back in with this brisket. That's all up to you, but it does not have to go to waste. Let's flip this around. I like to get my hand underneath here to lift it up. That'll help me get this nice and even. And then we'll come across, shave off some of this fat that's there. Down here at the bottom. I won't do too much here at the bottom. Most of this is going to be coming off. So, grab a little bit more of this fat right here. Underneath it, lift it up. Nice even cut. You can see all this fat right here, which we don't need. We have some graying from the packaging, from the cutting. We're gonna cut a line straight down here so we can see exactly what we're working with. You can see here we exposed a little bit more of what we're working with. And there's a lot of fat right there. So we know we're gonna be coming in here, getting a lot of that out of there. Let's flip this over and get started on the fat side. To start off with my shape, I like to come in here and take this mohawk off. It's flapping. It's going to dry out. It's not going to be good for our slices. Keep you here on this end. You can see this big chunk of fat down here. And we do not need it. So I'll start here. I'll make an incision. Make sure this is lifted up. I'll flip it back around. And we'll come even with this brisket. And take it off that mohawk. We still have some shaping to do. You can see it took off a little meat, some fat. We'll handle that. Ground beef, burgers, tacos, whatever you like. Even this out a little bit. As we can see, big chunk of fat right here. We do not need all that. We want to keep it at 1/4 inch to 1 inch of fat. That's going to help with our fat rendering. Let's keep shaping our brisket. Take off some of this fat right here. See what we're working with? All fat. A lot of tallow for you in this brisket. We can see this brisket has a pointy end, and we want to come in and round this off. So we're going to start with that, and then that'll help us decide our fat that we're going to go with. We can see there's a little bit more of this extra muscle here at the top. So I say let's go ahead and get this laying flat. And we're going to come through here and round that off. It's not going to be good for slicing, but we do have some meat on there that will work for us. Our trimming here is for the best slice. It's intentional. So every slice that we make, every rounded corner, we're going for the best slice, the best bite we can get out of this brisket. Some of this meat would just be better off as ground beef. Let's come in here, see what we're working with. We have this thin edge right here compared to this thick part right there. Make sure that's laying flat. We got our shape coming together. One thing I like to do before just going in and cutting, I like to give myself a guideline. So I'm gonna flip it here. Make sure we're laying flat. We'll come back through and get all this fat taken care of. But I wanna, there's a lot of fat in there, not much meat right here. So I wanna come in here. And I wanna round this off. So then I round that off. Now we have a guideline that we're working with. We're gonna start from up here and we're gonna round it all the way off. Take this down. This is an aggressive cut. You can see we still have a lot of good meat on here. And with this USDA Prime, you can see we have a lot of good fat marbling in there as well. So if you want to see what we do with the trimmings, we can make a whole separate video. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, letting me know you want to see what we do with the trimmings. All right, because we can grind this up. What we would do is just a little sneak peek, separate the fat from the meat, and then we can make our own ratio. But we'll set this to the side. We already have our shape coming together. It's already looking nice and pretty. This came through a little more wonky than I would have liked. Doing some detail work to round off the corner. We want to keep it nice and aerodynamic, and that's what we're getting into now. It's looking nice and flat. We do have a good bit of fat we can come take off over here. While we're taking off the fat, we'll round these corners off. Keep our knife nice and even. We can go here and we can keep lifting up. And as we go and we lift up, we're able to check our cut, make sure we're nice and even, that we're not getting into the meat at all. We don't have to rush. We can take our time, lift up, and it's all right. We got a little bit of meat right there. What does that mean? We need to adjust the angle of our knife just a little bit, and then we take it right off. I say this brisket is starting to look nice and pretty. Just doing some detail work. You don't want to spend too much time on the brisket. You could spend a whole bunch of time getting this exactly how you want it to be. And we have this one looking nice and pretty so far. So a little bit of fat on this side. Looking nice and pretty. Nice and trim. This whole side. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of fat. Looking nice and pretty. Got here a little bit, but that's why we adjusted the angle of our knife, lifted it up, took the fat off. Feel around, make sure we're flat. I can feel a little bit of pocket of fat right here. So we're gonna knock that down. A little bit of meat sticking up here. We'll just round that off ever so slightly. Keeping it aerodynamic. Now this is more of an aggressive trim, like I said before, so doesn't have to get this detail. But I just want to show you how far you could go with it. And you could go even farther and get all this fat off, all the silver skin off. And right here, as I'm trimming, the grain's running this way, so I'm staying with the grain. Getting here, nice and even, staying up here with that fat, zipping it off. We still have a chunk of this decal fat, and it's lifted up a little bit right here. You can see this divot. We don't want that. Let's flip it around, which you can't really see. Go ahead and get in there and take that off, just because it's sticking up and we don't really need all that fat. And when we flip it over, it's still going to lay flat, but we still have a little bit of hump. You can see that up there, which I don't really want. That's a lot of fat in there. I'm going to go in here and take some of that out. Here and dug a little bit more of that fat out. Took a little meat with it, but that's going to be some good ground beef. Sitting down on it, making sure we got it nice and even. Get off a little bit of that fat that we don't need. I think this brisket is looking perfect to me. Nice and aerodynamic. We're going to be putting this on the smoker soon. But a big tip that I want to leave you with is patience. All right, patience with this. Feel around, see where if there's any lumps, some hard fat things sticking off that might get dry. Like I'm feeling around right now, and there's this piece right here. It's probably going to burn off. But you don't have to get, but what I'm going for, I'm going to go ahead and take it off. Be patient. If you haven't trimmed brisket before, this is your first time, you're a little nervous, you're scared to go as aggressive with the cut because, I mean, you paid for it. This meat was $130. You want to get all your money's worth. So those trimmings are not going to waste. Let me know if you want to see what we do with those, but be patient. Take your time. Get your knife slices right. Figure out how you want to angle your knife and know what you want to cut off before you start cutting. Right? See it, visualize it. Be patient. It will pass. Whatever you're going through right now, it'll pass. Be patient. That life you want to live, that dream that you have, that call you're waiting for, be patient. When God said it, it's going to happen. And some things don't happen on the time that we expect it to happen. So that's when we need to step into what God has said. And he said, be patient. Even though it tarries, Habakkuk 2:2, even though it tarries and it takes a while, wait for it. Because it surely will come to pass. It's going to happen. If God said it, it's going to happen. So it's just being patient, right? I didn't know how to trim brisket when I first started. And when I first started, not only were the cooks not the greatest, but the trim wasn't the greatest. That's when I got intentional. I became patient in the learning process. And now I'm like, okay, what do I want to do with this brisket? Initially, I mean, it's a big cut of meat. It's $100. You don't want to waste anything. So I'm trimming off barely anything. I'm getting it on the smoke and I'm trying to get as much meat as I can out of it. Which then left me with dry spots, stuff that was overcooked. And I was like, I can do better than that. So I became intentional with what I was doing. So be intentional. I set an expectation for myself. You can do better. What do you want to get out of what you're doing? I'm not just talking about brisket. What do you want to get out of what you're doing? And be intentional about it. Set an expectation. When we get up and we get ready to go out in the world and do what we need to do, you're going to the job, you're going to your business, you're going to a hobby, whatever you're doing, be intentional with yourself. Set an expectation for yourself. Because once I set an expectation for this brisket, and I said, I want the best slices. When I slice this up, I want every slice to be the best. So what does that mean? There's some things I had to sacrifice, right? I had to be okay with trimming away things that didn't matter, that weren't supporting what I was doing. Yeah, you heard me. I had to trim away the things that were getting dry. You're going to have to trim away some people, places, things, and habits in your life that aren't serving you for what you want to do. Once you get intentional and you know where you're going and you know where you want to be, things start to clear up in our mind. It's less clutter. We become more calm. And clarity kills chaos. All right, I'll say it again. Once we become clear on what we want, there's less chaos. There's less of, oh, I want this, or I want that, or I need to go here, or this person. I know what I want. I know where I want to be. I know exactly what I want to get out of this product. I know exactly what I want to get out of this gym session. I know exactly what I want to get out of this job. I know exactly what I want to get out of this business. Clarity. Being intentional. Being deliberate. Being focused on what you want to get out of what you're doing. I said I want better slices. So that means I needed to cut off what wasn't necessary. That's how we got to this right here. More aerodynamic, more even cooking. So that we can get the slices necessary. Bow, turn it. So we can get the slices necessary. We coming down here, we following along. We turning this one, following along, right? I became intentional with what I was doing and why I was doing it. This isn't just about food. We're learning, we're educating, we're empowering, we're encouraging, we're inspiring through food. Everybody likes to eat. Everybody got to eat, right? So with that being said, if you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're going to trim a brisket, I want to see it. Tag me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Birch's Blessed BBQ. If you have some questions, DM me, leave it in the comments. I'll get back to you. It's looking like a perfectly trimmed brisket to me, and that's what we're going to rock with. Remember, be intentional, be patient, become clear on what you want and where you want to be. Because then you won't just get dragged into things that you don't want to do. It just calms the mind a little bit. That's what I learned. But hey, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.